Listen to me. Some of the biggest battles you'll ever face won't come with warnings. They'll walk into your life wearing familiar faces. They'll laugh with you, eat with you, call you family. But behind the surface, they carry storms that can pull you under if you're not paying attention. I'm talking about the emotional weight people carry, the hidden struggles they project, and the patterns that drain your peace without you realizing it. If you don't learn how to recognize what's pulling you down, you'll keep blaming yourself for storms that were never yours to carry. There comes a moment when you wake up and realize not everyone around you is good for your spirit. Some people fight battles inside themselves that spill into everyone connected to them. They carry anger they never healed, jealousy they never admitted, and pain they never faced. And when they get close to you, that energy rubs off on your life without you even noticing. Today, I want to talk to you about recognizing those signs, not to judge people, but to protect your peace, to guard your growth. To understand when someone's inner chaos is starting to affect your direction, because staying blind to it keeps you stuck. Seeing it clearly frees you. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set boundaries so you don't get dragged into someone else's storm. When you learn to notice the energy shift around someone, your whole understanding of relationships changes. You start to see that people don't always communicate through words. They communicate through how they make you feel. You can be having a steady day, feeling calm and centered, and then one conversation with the wrong person leaves you irritated, confused, or suddenly doubting yourself. That shift is not random. It's a signal. It's your inner compass telling you that something in their spirit is unsettled and trying to settle itself on you. Most people ignore this because they've been trained to be polite, to endure, to explain away discomfort. But your peace is information. Your body knows when someone's energy is pulling life out of you instead of pouring anything into you. Sometimes the shift is subtle. You start second guessing yourself after talking to them. You feel heavy for no reason. Your mind gets crowded with thoughts that weren't there before. You walk away from the interaction feeling smaller, not because they insulted you, but because the weight they are carrying leaked into the moment. People who live in constant frustration, bitterness, or insecurity often spread that energy without trying. It's not always intentional, but it is real. And if you don't notice it early, you'll absorb emotions that were never yours to carry. Other times, the shift hits you like a wave. You can be excited about something, and they show up with a tone that crushes your enthusiasm. You can share good news, and you sense their mood change, not in celebration, but in quiet resentment. You can be at peace and suddenly feel attacked by tension that doesn't belong to you. These moments are clues. They tell you that someone is fighting something inside themselves, and instead of dealing with it, they let it spill into the room. Pay attention to the pattern of how you feel before, during, and after interacting with someone. If you consistently walk away feeling anxious, guilty, angry, or drained, that's not chemistry. That's a spiritual and emotional imbalance trying to anchor itself to you. You don't have to diagnose people or confront them. Just listen to what your peace tells you. Some people calm the storm in you without even speaking. Others create storms with their presence alone. The energy shift reveals more truth than the words spoken, and learning to recognize that truth is how you protect your spirit, your focus, and your growth. When you learn to watch patterns instead of moments, you stop getting confused by mixed signals. A single bad day doesn't define anyone. People struggle. People get tired. People say things they don't mean. But when someone repeats the same behavior again and again, that's not an accident. That's a window into the battles they haven't dealt with. Patterns show you what a person is really carrying. You may hear apologies. You may hear excuses, but the rhythm of their actions will tell you the truth every time. You start to notice that certain people always show up with the same type of negativity. They complain about the same things. They react the same way when they feel challenged. They shut down, lash out, or withdraw in the same predictable cycle. At first, you might brush it off because everyone has moments of struggle. But when those moments become a lifestyle, you're no longer dealing with a moment. You're dealing with an inner storm that's starting to overflow into your space. Patterns reveal what someone refuses to heal. If a person consistently tries to make you feel guilty for setting boundaries, so that's not a moment of weakness. That's a habit shaped by insecurity. If they constantly bring drama wherever they go, that's not a coincidence. That's a sign that chaos feels normal to them, and they don't even notice when they're spreading it. If their jealousy shows up every time you progress, that's not a slip. That's a deeper fear they haven't confronted, and it's leaking through their reactions. You also start to see how repetition affects you. You can handle someone being upset once. You can handle a misunderstanding. But when you see the same behavior again and again, It slowly chips at your confidence. It makes you question your worth, your decisions, your path. That's why patterns matter. They reveal whether a relationship is growing you or draining you. The more you watch, the clearer it becomes that consistency speaks louder than apologies. A person can say they love you, but if their actions repeatedly bring stress into your life, the pattern is telling you something they won't admit. A person can promise change, but if the change never happens, the pattern is telling you the truth they avoid. Moments are emotional. Patterns are honest. When you train yourself to pay attention to what keeps happening instead of what someone says in the moment, you protect your peace. You stop giving unlimited chances to behavior that keeps hurting you. You see the reality without sugarcoating it. And you gain the strength to step back when someone's unhealed patterns start pulling your life off balance. When you really start listening to the way people speak, you realize their words often reveal what their heart is carrying. People can smile, they can act calm, they can pretend everything is fine, but their language exposes their hidden battles. The tone they use, the way they talk about others, the way they talk about themselves, all of it paints a picture of what's going on inside. Someone who hasn't dealt with their pain will speak from a place of pain. Someone who struggles with jealousy will speak from a place of comparison. Someone who carries resentment will speak from a place of bitterness. Their words become clues, and if you pay attention, you'll see the truth behind them. Sometimes it shows up in the way they talk about other people. When conversations constantly circle around gossip, criticism, or tearing someone down, that's a sign of internal unrest. A person who feels secure doesn't have to attack others. A person who feels whole doesn't find entertainment in other people's failures. When someone is always highlighting the worst in others, it usually means they haven't faced the worst in themselves. Their words are echoes of their internal conflict, and you feel it even if you don't respond. Sometimes it comes through when they talk to you. They might never openly insult you, but the subtle jabs, the sarcastic remarks, the comments that hit your confidence, those things aren't accidents. They are signs of deeper struggles. A person who feels threatened by your growth might disguise it as a joke. Someone who feels inferior might try to make you feel small so they don't feel alone. Hidden insecurity often slips through casual conversations, and if you're not listening closely, you'll absorb their words as truth when they were never about you. Their speech also reveals their mindset. If everything is framed as a problem, if they always expect the worst, if they speak as though life is working against them, that negativity can start influencing your own thinking. That mindset comes from unresolved frustration, and being close to it for long periods begins to shift your own emotional state. Words carry weight, and when someone's vocabulary is shaped by fear or anger, that weight falls on the people around them. Paying attention to how people speak doesn't mean judging them. It means protecting yourself from taking on energy that isn't yours. Words are reflections of what's happening beneath the surface. When you hear repeated patterns of negativity, comparison, or hostility, you're not just hearing conversation, you're hearing the storm they're carrying. And learning to recognize that helps you keep your peace while they work through theirs. You learn a lot about a person when your life starts moving in a better direction. Growth has a way of revealing hidden emotions in the people around you. Some will cheer for you with a full heart. Others will smile on the surface, but hold something different underneath. Pay attention to how someone reacts when you rise. Their response shows you what they are fighting within themselves. It is not always jealousy in the obvious sense. Sometimes it is fear. Sometimes it is insecurity. Sometimes it is the quiet belief that they are being left behind. Their reaction to your progress becomes a mirror reflecting the battles they never talk about. You can tell something is off when you share good news and the room suddenly gets quiet. They nod, but their eyes shift. Their voice sounds flat. They try to change the topic quickly. They may not say anything negative, but you feel the hesitation. It is because your growth touched a place inside them that they have not healed. They might feel stuck. They might feel unseen. They might feel like your progress makes their own life look smaller. None of that is your fault, but you will feel the weight of it if you are not paying attention. Sometimes the reaction shows up in subtle comments. They start downplaying your progress. They call it luck. They say it is not a big deal. They suggest it will not last. Those words are not about your success. They are about their fear of being passed by. When someone has not faced their own limitations, your growth becomes a reminder of what they could be doing. Instead of confronting that truth, they push it back on you. You can feel the tension even when the words sound polite. There are moments when someone becomes distant as you improve your life. They call less. They stop showing up the same way. They act disconnected. It is not because you did anything wrong. Your growth may be challenging the story. They tell themselves some people feel safer when everyone around them stays the same. When you break the pattern, they feel exposed. Instead of celebrating with you, they pull away to protect their own comfort. Recognizing these reactions is not about cutting people off. It is about understanding what their behavior reveals. When someone supports your growth with an open heart, you feel it. When someone struggles with your growth, you feel that too. Their reaction shows you whether they walk with you or silently hope you stay where they feel comfortable. Paying attention to this helps you protect your direction and stay connected to people who genuinely want to see you rise. You can learn a great deal about a person by watching how they handle conflict. Disagreements and tense moments don't create someone's character. They reveal it. When pressure shows up, whatever they have been hiding eventually comes to the surface. Some people deal with conflict by listening, reflecting, and working toward calm. Others let their internal battles spill outward, and suddenly the issue between you isn't even about what happened. It becomes a doorway for all the anger, fear, or frustration they've been carrying for years. Their reaction becomes a message showing you what's living inside them. You may notice this when a simple misunderstanding turns into something much bigger. Instead of talking things through, they explode, they raise their voice, they twist your words. They make you feel guilty for bringing up something that bothered you. That reaction isn't about the moment. It's the buildup of their own unresolved feelings. They might be fighting insecurity, and any hint of correction feels like an attack. They might be dealing with old anger, and the smallest disagreement opens the floodgates. You end up facing emotions that have nothing to do with you. Sometimes the reaction takes the opposite form. Instead of exploding, they shut down, they refuse to talk. They withdraw and punish you with silence. They avoid accountability, disappearing until the situation cools down. That's another sign of an inner struggle. When someone has trouble facing discomfort, conflict exposes their fear of being wrong, their fear of being vulnerable, or their fear of losing control. Their silence isn't peace, it's avoidance. There are also people who shift blame as soon as a conflict arises. No matter what happened, they twist the situation until you end up feeling responsible. They flip the story to protect their ego because accepting their part would force them to confront something deeper. Blame shifting is often rooted in insecurity. It's a shield people use when owning the truth feels too painful. Even subtle reactions tell you something. If they get defensive before you even finish speaking, that's a sign of internal tension. If they always feel attacked by constructive feedback that comes from an inner narrative where they already feel inadequate, if they make everything dramatic, they may be carrying emotions that have been sitting there unaddressed for a long time. Watching how someone handles conflict isn't about judging them. It's about understanding the emotional landscape you're dealing with. You can work through disagreements with someone who is grounded and self-aware. But if every conflict turns into chaos, if every discussion feels like walking through a storm, that's a sign that their unresolved battles are shaping the relationship. Once you see that clearly, you can protect your peace while still honoring the truth. You learn the most about a person when you set a boundary and watch how they respond to it. Boundaries are simple. They're just lines that protect your peace, your time, and your emotional space. But for someone who is wrestling with something inside themselves, even the smallest boundary can feel like rejection. When you tell them no, when you ask for space, when you try to communicate your limits clearly, you're not hurting them. You're just honoring your own needs. Yet their reaction exposes what they haven't learned to control within themselves. Some people respect boundaries with ease. They understand that healthy relationships require them. They don't take it personally. They don't make you feel guilty for having limits. Their respect tells you they are emotionally grounded. Even if they don't agree with everything, these people are safe to grow with because they understand you are a person with your own needs. But others react very differently. You may notice they become irritated when you try to express your limits. They might act confused, as if they don't understand what you're saying, even though you've been completely clear. Sometimes they pretend your boundary doesn't exist. They push past it. They dismiss it. They do the very thing you asked them not to do. That's not forgetfulness. It's a sign of an inner struggle. A person who cannot accept boundaries often feels threatened by them because boundaries challenge the control they want but don't admit. Their reaction can also show up as guilt tripping. They tell you you're being dramatic. They say you've changed. They accuse you of not caring. All of this is an emotional attempt to pull you back into patterns that benefit them but weaken you. Someone who uses guilt when you set limits is trying to avoid dealing with their own discomfort. Your boundary exposes something they haven't confronted. Sometimes the resistance is subtle. They make jokes about your limits. They call you sensitive. They act offended even though you weren't attacking them. This isn't humor. It's deflection. It's their way of shifting the focus away from the responsibility they don't want to take. When someone struggles with boundaries, it reveals their fear of losing access to your time, your energy, or the benefits they get from you. Over time, you start to see that boundaries don't push the right people away. They only push away the ones who wanted something from you without giving anything healthy in return. A person who values you will adjust. A person who only values what you give them will resist. Their reaction shows you everything you need to know about their intentions and their emotional maturity. And once you understand that, you stop feeling guilty for protecting your space. You realize that respecting your own boundaries is the first step to staying grounded, clear, and safe within yourself. When you step back and look at all these signs together, you start to understand something important. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's survival. You're not cutting people off. You're choosing clarity. You're choosing to stop carrying the weight of battles that aren't yours. You're choosing to stop ignoring the signals your spirit has been trying to show you for years. The truth is, you can love people and still refuse to let their chaos shape your life. You can care deeply and still keep your distance when someone's patterns keep pulling you into confusion. You can wish someone well and still walk your own path. Growth doesn't require anger. It requires honesty. And the most honest thing you can do is recognize when someone's inner struggles are affecting your direction. At some point, you have to decide that your peace matters enough to protect it. Your clarity matters enough to honor it. Your future matters enough to guard it. The people who are meant to stay in your life will meet you where you are with respect, accountability, and genuine support. The ones who resist will reveal themselves through their reactions, and that truth will guide your next steps. So keep your heart open, but keep your eyes open too. Stay kind, but stay aware. And remember this, the moment you start listening to the signals around you, the moment you start valuing your peace, you step into a stronger, clearer version of yourself. You rise above the noise. You make room for healthier connections, and you give yourself the freedom to grow without apology. Thank you.